Good, yeah, late afternoon, I suppose. Everyone, it's October 1st. We've had our end of the month, and we did not get a rally like I was looking for all week long. I'd said I wanted to see some sort of rally occur. We managed to run these lows. I thought perhaps after getting those strong covers off the lows of that gap close and getting back inside this balance over here, getting back in that sort of range, I thought, all right, maybe we can get a nice green day Thursday and Friday. Friday gapped up, but just sold off hard. Closed the gap in the initial balance, took out the overnight low and high off that open, and just unable to get anywhere. Now we have had that news overnight on this weekend talking about the government shutdown. I think got canceled or something like that. Futures gapped up, but futures tend to close the gap pretty closely, these price gaps. So I'd be looking for us to get to somewhere around this 43.30 mark. And then we can see if we overtake the open, that Globex opening in, or if we just stay below it. Now, let's go back and zoom out to the month. August. Here's that August open. All of August spent trading below the August open. Here's the September open. All of September spent trading below the September open. Even last week, here was the weekly open. You can see for the most part, Tuesday spent below, Wednesday below, Thursday below, Friday closing below that weekly open. And that is after an open, this Monday open below last week's low. So on these time frames, the monthly time frames, we're not getting any trade above the monthly opens. On the weekly time frame, we have that open outside last week's range. We were unable to even get to last week's -1 standard deviation of VWAP, let alone the VWAP close. The Qs were a little bit better. They managed to get up to right around last week's VWAP close, even managed to poke above into this gap area, however, also rejected back downwards. Same story though overall, that no trade above the August open during August, no trade above the September open during all of September. So overall, similar story. However, the selling has gotten a little bit weaker on the Qs. If we switch to a weekly time frame here and just turn off all the drawings, I just want to see that volume here. You can see the volume not that much of a stair step higher. Equal volume here, a little bit higher over here. Whereas on the SPY, it's been really clear. Get rid of the drawings once again. You can see these. Oh, you can see these increases in volume every week. 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of ramping volume. I'm hesitant to say that the lows are in just yet. Seasonality. This year has been following seasonality very well. If we were to go off of that, we would say that we'd expect a rally to start sometime this month. However, I'm struggling to see it at the moment. Once again, I'm not a trader on these monthly time frames, let alone or even that weekly time frame. I'm looking at this thing intraday, but to me, until you see some sort of trade above a monthly open, and tomorrow will be that monthly open. If we start to get some trade above there, trade above last week's high, okay, now we can start leaning upwards. But until then, there just doesn't seem to be any indication of bullishness on any time frame. No trade above those monthly opens for the past 2 months. Last week opening outside last week's low. I need to see some sort of turns in structure. So anyway, that's how I was looking at this past month and past week on both of these. Now, going into next week, Monday got J Powell on at 11. Tuesday jolts. Wednesday non-farm employment change. Some more PMI shit on Wednesday as well as Monday. Thursday unemployment. Friday's our big one. NFP and then Waller, the FOMC member, speaking at noon. So I think this will be a nice month. The first week of the month, much like how Monday tends to be quiet on a weekly time frame, the first week of the month tends to be a little bit quieter. So I'm going to look for not too much dramatic motion this week, even with J Powell on tomorrow morning. I'm going to look for a quieter week, perhaps a little bit of rotation upwards. Let's see if we can get some trade above a monthly open for once. Let's see if what happens around up here or a gap close. But I'm not looking for any sort of dramatic moves downwards or upwards. I think we're going to have a quieter week rotating around, and then we can see what happens after that as we get into the second week. Notably, we're now below this August high over here. Looks like we're rejecting these highs. We're not using them as support. It looks like they're becoming resistance. Same with these lows over here. It looks like they're becoming resistance. So naturally would be looking a little bit down towards here, kind of this breakout zone. Let's take off all this stuff again. If we're looking, once again, we're looking at kind of this big auction we had. If this is the high of the auction, this was the low of the auction. We spent all this time churning within that high and low. So I'd be looking for a bid to come somewhere around perhaps 418 down to 410. If we start to lose that, we could very well be moving back into that sub 400 range. I think that's unlikely given the seasonality and everything else. So hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Starting to ramble. Qs, not too different, right? Breakout is way down here on the NQ, around 325-ish, so I don't think we're going to get down there. Perhaps we end up getting down to around 340 or so, but Q's looking a bit more bid. Yeah, kind of a shitty end of month. No big up move like I was hoping for. Volumes are heavy on these on these sells. Looking for a quieter week this week with no major moves. If we take out this low over here, this gap close low, in my opinion, you'll have a lot of buy the dippers with their stops over here liquidating out. That should bring us down to that sub 418 sort of area where we've churned around for a couple months. Anyway, hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. Have a great night and week. Trade safe.